Hi guys, and welcome back to Tag Along with the Tinsleys. Today we're going to be discussing our purchase, the Polaris Ranger 1000 Crew. We have thoroughly enjoyed this machine over the last few months. We've had it since August, and if you want to see our video where we went and purchased this machine in August, we'll post it in the iCard for you to go see it. A couple things. So one thing you need to realize is this is a non-XP model and is the base model. So this one doesn't come with power steering, etc. So this is the lowest Polaris Ranger that you can get. We got a few things we want to talk to you about over it. We want to go over some of our likes and dislikes, and then we'll kind of get into a few things here at the end. The first thing that I like about this machine is the reason why we actually purchased this machine, and that is price point. Overall, the price point to what you get, it's probably the best deal you can get. It absolutely is the cheapest that you can get when it comes to size, the amount of people that you can haul, with that being related to how much you're going to pay, and its ability to be ridden on a trail. Now, I wouldn't call it the best trail machine in the country, but it has a basic need that it fits in, and I think it fits our purpose very well. So my first thing that I really like is always going to be the price point. It didn't break the bank, it didn't put us in a big bind, and we have been able to have lots of fun with it. Our second thing that we really like is the seats. You don't buy a Crew without wanting something this big and you wanting the seats themselves. We really was looking for something that would fit our entire family, and honestly, it fits the bill. So I can crawl in, sit down, fit in it, and my family can be comfortable the entire trip. It's probably our most favorite thing that we enjoy, just being able to go as a family. In some of the other machines, you're looking at only having the ability to haul at least 4 people. They sell bench seats, but they're really small for the RZRs, etc. So getting into the Ranger, it gives you the extra width that's really nice for the seats. So our second thing that we really truly love about this machine is our seats. As an additional note to the seats, I would like to show you this, that we really like how much it has the ability to store. When you take a family of 6, it takes a lot of things that you want to take along to keep a family happy on a trip. We have the back storage in the dump bed, which is in the back. Having this machine and having the big dump bed means we can fit 2 full-size coolers here, one here and one over there, and still have plenty of room to go in the center. So between the dump bed and the seats and the amount of people that you can haul inside of it, it's got its nickname, the covered wagon. Let me show you guys right here right quick. Look at this. So not only do you have, every one of these seats has a storage capability. The front ones are really deep. The back one is a little bit more shallow because it's got some of the other things in it, but otherwise it is a great storage option. So yet again, I would like to say that we really like how much storage it has, how much seating it has, how much capability you have, so that everybody can be comfortable throughout the day-long trip. Thirdly, on my likes, I actually really like the power. Now, I know, this is the lowest powered machine. It comes in at a whopping 61 horsepower. I know, it sounds so low, especially when you're looking at RZRs who have way over 100 horsepower. But this machine, it really does have power on the low side, not on the top side. It's really on the low side. So when you're pulling, and I've pulled trailers with this machine, when you're pulling like trees, I've pulled trees out of the woods with it before. When you're doing the day-to-day activities just around, like if you were a farmer and you were using it for farming, it really does have lots of low-end power. And for the trails, it's perfect. It's super quiet because the engine's in the back. It's not really a big loud engine, so it's really, you can sit inside here and talk all day long. It's no problem. So 61 horsepower sounds extremely low, but trust me when I say this, it's the perfect combination for a comfortable ride on a day family trip for anybody that's around. So if you want to, go back and check out our ride that we did in October, where we went to the Daniel Boone National Forest, there you can see where we were actually using this machine in some of those areas, and you'll notice that power was never really an issue. We had some other issues, and I'll talk about those in my dislikes. But for now, we really like the power that this machine has. Okay guys, so now that we get into our dislikes, my number one dislike on this machine, it is glaringly, very loudly, I do not like these tires and wheels. Now, they put them on this machine because that's the cheapest thing you can get. And I totally agree with that. I understand that 100%. I appreciate that because it got me in the price point. Overall, for a trail ride machine, these tires and wheels are so small, they're not good at all. They have a really weak sidewall, and we actually blowed this wheel out here. We cut the side of it out. So these tires are very good when it comes to basic riding. You could do small rocks, you could do small mud holes, you could do crossing small creeks, you could do the basic riding and green trails that you want to go on in any of the trail systems. But I will say this, their ply is not very good. They do clean out well, but they just don't function good enough, especially with the sides. The size is terrible. 25 inches of the tire makes this lead into what I'm calling 0.1B of my dislikes. It hurts the overall ground clearance that this machine has. It's really low to the ground, which makes it have less of a center of gravity. But because of that and the length that it has, it causes it to, when you go across hills and stuff, you rub in the center pretty high. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is get rid of these tires and wheels and replace them with something different. We're gonna go bigger. I've done a lot of research on that, so we're gonna kind of go down that path later on, so stay tuned. But my first dislike is definitely gotta be wheels and tires / ground clearance. It's not good enough. Okay guys, so my number two thing is actually no power steering. And I didn't really think that this would be a problem just because I've had four-wheelers all my life with no power steering. It was never an issue. And really, actually, just driving it around is really not a big problem. So the biggest problem with no power steering is a problem that's called bump steer. And we actually experienced this, my wife did, when she was trying to drive for the first time on the trails. And literally it was her first time driving the machine on the trails out in Kentucky. And the machine kind of gripped, and we're up against the side of a cliff, and it gripped, and the machine actually tilted completely on its side.
It wasn't a cliff, it was a rut.
It was a rut, so as she said. But she's telling you the truth. It did tip, and I believe 100%, especially now that I've done the research, that with power steering, she wouldn't have had that problem, because bump steer causes, when it touches on something, the force of the machine will force the wheels to turn, and that's what happened. She couldn't feel it. It forced it. It snapped in her hands, and she would have never been able to, without gripping it really hard, you would have never been able to correct it, and the machine went onto its side, and she was there. So I think that power steering in this machine would have made it a lot better. Of course, I didn't buy the power steering model because, yet again, price point was number one on my list. But it's going to depend on what you're going to be doing with this machine. Are you going to be doing a lot of trail riding, or is this just a basic machine? I think it's okay for basic trail riding. You just need to be aware that power steering is one of my dislikes, and it will probably be one of yours as well. Number three. My number three dislike is actually the width. I know this is a crazy answer because the machine is overall is about 60 inches wide. It's almost 60, 62 inches wide. I can't remember the exact number, but if you look down the side of the machine, you see this perfectly even with the sides of the wheels. On all side-by-sides, this is typically not the nature. They usually have the wheels outside of the body. Now, because Polaris wanted to give us the full cab experience to where we could have 3 full seats inside of it, they had to give the width of the same size as the tires and wheels. This is really difficult only when trail riding in close quarters. So when you go down, like where you're riding next to trees and stuff, limbs and trees and stuff, you're constantly driving against the side. And this damage has only been from really one trail ride that we've went on. And you can see that the black plastic is really taking a beating. Here, here. And then we've had our biggest damage where I tipped it kind of on its side, but not fully, but I hit a rock right here while I was in a mud hole and damaged this panel, this whole entire panel. So my third thing that I don't like about this machine is related to the width. Now, that's also related to, you get the width for the seats, but I wouldn't change it. It just needs to have better protection applied to the machine. And if I would have known this, I might have started spending money on trying to protect the machine right off the bat. Whereas at first I felt like I needed to drive the machine and see what all I wanted to do to it before I actually started upgrading the machine. So that's what I've started doing, but now I have to pay with the scratches. So that's kind of a dislike. It's kind of a like. It is what it is. I've already talked about some of the scratches, and I actually talked to you about the ding that we received here. And trust me when I say this, the whole bottom of this side has really taken a lot of damage. Overall, the machine has been great. We've had no issues with the engine. We're at a little over 700 miles right now in our in our time. We also have done an oil change. The real last damage that we've had is when I cleaned it with a pressure washer, I've started seeing the sides starting to peel. I've looked this up on Polaris website for these, and these are not very expensive. They're pretty cheap, so not a big deal. When that comes off, I'll just replace it and move on. We do have, I already bought, so it's going to be here for this panel. That panel was only 18 bucks, so not a big deal there. The other item that I broke was I have constantly backed into trees. And you can see I've got some damage going on here in the center rail. I don't really remember when I did this, but I backed into a tree and broke this taillight assembly. This taillight assembly is like 85 bucks from Polaris. It's not like, you can't just buy the lens, you gotta buy the whole assembly. So the first thing that I would do is kind of protect yourself, or make sure that you don't back into nothing. I backed into a tree, now I gotta replace the light fixture. Okay, so let's talk about some of our recommendations. 700 miles in, and I can honestly say this has been a complete joy to drive. You can go down the road, go get ice cream. We went into town and got ice cream. Fortunately, in our town, we can drive it. We've kept it legal, street legal, so that's a good thing. It's really easy to drive. It doesn't have a crazy amount of power. It goes about 55 miles an hour, so you can do the basic driving that you want to do, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Some of our recommendations is going to be stemmed off of what I like to do as far as riding. I have to keep this machine to be able to take my family on rides, so therefore I've got to take this machine and kind of get it up to what I think will make it a better ride for the trail. So some of our recommendations: if you buy this machine and you specifically are going to be doing some trail riding, and you do what we did, where we bought this thinking that this would be the basic thing, the first thing that I would do as a recommendation is I would buy tires and wheels. I got on Facebook and bought some tires and wheels, and I'm going to be showing you those, but my recommendation is for tires and wheels. 2, the rock slider that comes from Polaris, I've got that here. I'm going to be putting that on as well. I would also try to protect the machine on the rear. Everybody always goes to winch and front bumper, but honestly, that's not really been a problem for us. All of our friends have winches, so it wasn't an issue. And the front bumper, we have no real damage right now when it comes to the front. We've received all of our damage to the back side, so for me, the rear bumper would be something that you'd want to look into. All those things relate to ground clearance and protection of the machine, which I think is highly important for what you need to do if you're going to be trail riding the machine right off the bat. Okay, so here's the question. Can I trail ride this machine? Absolutely, with a lot of caution. I'm not saying this is a bad machine. In fact, we're going to keep it. Yeah, and we're going to trail ride it. We're just going to be more cautious with how we go about the trail ride, understanding the limits and the boundaries that this machine has. It is by no means a razor. The suspension travel is not there, the ground clearance is not there, and it definitely doesn't have the power that those machines have. I wouldn't say it's something you want to go up what is called the black trails in Hatfield, McCoy, or any of the other trail systems that you might go on. So can it do trail riding? Absolutely. Just got to know your boundaries, and I suggest take the machine and go ride in some of the green trails, some of the blue trails, ride something that's basic in nature and see how you like it, see how it feels, kind of get a feel for it before you go into any of the black trails that you're going to be getting into. And just realize with a caution that this machine is a Ranger. It is a utility truck. It is something that your family can enjoy, and just kind of keep it there. For some reason, my wife thinks it's cold outside. I don't know why. We only have a little bit of snow on the ground.
And it's probably 30 degrees.
It's 30-ish. Low 30s.
It's cold.
So we're fixing to go get some supper, but we thank you for coming along and hanging out with us and getting our review on this machine. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. We'll answer them to the best of our abilities. I'll be glad to do more pictures or videos on this machine. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to share our knowledge and things that we've learned. By no means do we want to stop you from going out and doing what you want to do, and that's have fun with your family. I think that's the reason why I decided, okay, I'm done. This is what I can afford. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and bite the bullet. What do you think?
Yes, definitely agree. And if you like these kind of videos, subscribe to our channel, because we're going to be definitely putting up more videos of our upgrades, and we're going to be putting more videos up of our trips. That we're getting ready to take a trip actually at the end of January, and we're going to do a winter ride. So if you like these kind of videos, subscribe. Of course, you're going to get other videos along with it, but this Polaris is part of our life now, so we'll definitely be videoing more of the
covered wagon. The covered wagon. All right, well, thanks for tagging along with the Tinsleys. We'll see you guys soon.